Hey guys, Psychic here, and welcome back to another episode of Cave Factory with me. Hello, and I've been doing a little bit more mining. I'm on the wrong spot. Over there, I was doing a little bit more mining with shaping and stuff. I'm getting this slowly figured out. Not quickly, but slowly. But we're back, and I think I have figured out how to automate both plastic sheets and PCBs from Pneumaticcraft, which I'm super proud of myself for, because this took a while. Because I'll be honest, I was looking up tutorials online of like, hey, how do I do both of these? And everything involved mods that are not in this mod pack. So I had to figure out my own little funky way of doing it. I think I managed it. Hopefully. So first of all, I'm going to turn that on. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. I have changed over my air compressors into these flux compressors, so I don't have to go in here and worry about putting coal into these. They just work off of power, and since we have infinite power from, you know, a couple episodes ago, that's nothing I gotta worry about. And so I put these in here. They're really quick. The only difference with these, and as with the advances as well, is they create a lot of heat. So once they hit above this little line you see here, the efficiency that's being used for, like, if you're using the advanced ones, the coal, and then this one for power, it goes down the hotter that it gets. Now, it doesn't hit 0% as soon as it hits it. It just means once it goes above 50 degrees Celsius, it will slowly start becoming less and less efficient. But that's why you use, and I can't see it behind it, but it's behind this one too, the vortex tubes. So that's why you use those, and it'll cool it down. And I can actually use the flux compressor for the vortex tube, and it's pretty good. I don't think this one... well, it went up to 31. It hasn't done that in a while, but even if it goes a little bit above the threshold, it's okay, because it's not like it's not going to work. But I made those and connected them using flux points. So from there, I have this powering our thermo-pneumatic processing plant. And I have created some fluid pipes from pipes going all the way from our the immersive engineering factory that we have, because remember, we have a bunch of biodiesel that I could always turn that machine back on, but we have a bunch from using it before. So I just connected pipes from there all the way to here, and it's going into the thermo-pneumatic processing plant. And then I also have charcoal being pumped in here from our storage system. So we just put a network receiver and then the little receiver for it that goes in there. We did something similar when it comes to the botany stuff, so pretty easy. And then just use an exporter that says charcoal, and you do that. And then once this hits a certain temperature, let me turn that on so it'll go. Once this hits the temperature that it needs, it'll make molten plastic. Okay, so this is where I figured this all out pretty easily. It was after this point that I couldn't figure out what to do, because in order to make the plastic sheets, you either have to place the liquid into the world, or you have to have a bucket or anything similar to it in a barrel that has a heat frame on it. And then with the heat frame, you will have connected another of those vortex tubes. It's just behind this wall, I believe. Yeah. So you have that connected to cool it down. Because you're basically making a freezer using a barrel. Because I've tried to put the heat frame just on a tank straight up, and it doesn't work. And I understand why, because it has to, like, you know, function. There it goes. But either way, I have it being pumped out using the fluid pipes, the molten plastic, and it's going into a small fluid tank. And then from there, I have discovered, and I did this completely by accident, figuring out how this worked, but you can have it automatically being pumped out using a dispenser upgrade, and I have it ejected going down, and it's going into a seared channel from Tinker's Construct. And from the seared channels, because how they work usually with the smeltery that we have, usually you can have a bunch of these and they could go into a bunch of different casting tables, which made me think, like, well, I can have it just going to one, right? So this outputs into the seared channel, which then automatically dumps into the seared casting table below it. And all that it does is I have a bucket. I have two buckets going in circles here. I have one of these item pipes pumping out only the bucket of molten plastic. I have it, like, set at a whitelist. And then this is whitelisted to only have buckets pumping back into it. So it's a constant loop. And all it does is it just throws the bucket of molten plastic into the barrel that has the heat frame in it. And since it's cooling down to below, well, it said it had to be below 0 degrees Celsius, but that's obviously a lie, but that's okay. As long as it's cooled, it will slowly turn into plastic, and then I have it filtered to becoming pumped out into this oak drawer, which doesn't really need to be that way, but I did it that way, and then it's just automatically being pumped back out using a importer, and it's being imported into our system. So we have a lot of plastic that's just sitting over there in our storage system. So I'm going to turn this off because I have so much plastic and I don't need it running, but that was just to show you that it does work. It just took me so freaking long to figure this out, but I'm hoping that y'all can like use this if you are also playing this mod pack, or if you have a similar mod pack, because all you need, at least with this particular setup, is the Pneumaticcraft pipes and the refined storage, and I'm sure there's other ways, because you can probably use an AE system to do something similar, and then with the pipes, pretty much any, like, you can use mechanism pipes, as long as you have something that has fluid pipes in it, that can both export and import, and have a whitelist on it. I think you can do this setup. So that, it ended up being a lot simpler once I got it all figured out, but this is fine. The hard part, actually, after this, was trying to figure out how to automate the pressure chamber, because from here, so this is just to make the plastic sheets, and remember, we are trying to make printed circuit boards. So if I show you printed, there we go, how to make those, we're going to ignore this, we're just going to go to the unassembled PCBs. In order to make the empty PCB, it has to be in the pressure chamber, and it's 1 plastic sheet, 3 gold nuggets, and 2 redstone torches. And I was like, how am I going to get the system to understand that I want this and not, like, the capacitors or the transistors without having to hand put it in? And I have discovered, which we should have been doing this before anyway, so this is completely my fault, but you do have pattern grids and crafters from our refined storage system, which I personally have never used before. If I have used them, they were always set up for me by somebody else. So this is the first time I've ever messed with it. But it's actually kind of cool. So I have made some patterns, and the important one here is the unassembled PCB. And the reason why I have this one set like this is because, just bear with me. So, but even though this is not the recipe for the unassembled PCBs, this is the recipe for the empty PCBs. But the reason I have it saying that the output's unassembled is because by the time this process is done and gets back into our storage system, it will be unassembled PCBs. So just keep that in mind. But I also have it in here for capacitors and transistors, which are used to make the final printed circuit board. So actually, at the main part of the system is where we tell this to work, but I'm going to explain it here. So at the system, you'll just tell it that you want it to make like 3 of these or 1 of each of these, however many you want. And what it'll do is once you hit start, it's automatically going to pump it into this hopper. Because as you see, if you open the crafter, it actually says item hopper at the top. So that's what it's pointing at. Once it puts it in the hopper, it automatically goes into a pressure chamber. And I have discovered that you can just shove a bunch of random stuff in the pressure chamber, and it will only make things that are possible, and it'll just kind of hold things that are not. So if you put, like I think I talked about before, my worry last time with the transistors and the capacitors is that 1 is redstone and 1 is slime balls. So I wasn't sure if it would like know the difference or whatever, and it basically what it'll do is like as much redstone as you put in there, it'll just make that, and then it'll do the slime balls or vice versa depending on what it's doing. So it'll make both. It's not just gonna get confused and be like, this is an invalid recipe. It'll eat something and just leave whatever it can't use behind. So that's cool. So what it'll do is it'll do all of that, and then it'll pump out. And here, and I'm gonna break this wall back here, I'll show you. I have this importer set to pull out the capacitors and the transistors to go directly back into the system, because at this point, that's where they're needed. They're not needed to go any farther, so that. But what this is pulling out is the unassembled, or the empty PCBs, because it is being transferred over to our assembly stuff over here. So it just gets pumped into this chest, and then this will start its whole process because it can't export through this chest, because all this will take out is the unassembled PCB. So once this is done, it'll do that. Yeah, that's getting a little hot. That's okay. But then it'll import it back into our system, and that'll give us the unassembled PCBs, and then from there we can make the printed circuit boards. Now, I'm sure there's a way to make the printed circuit boards actually be crafted as an extra step without me having to do it by hand, but I think doing this much that far, having that all automated, the last step of just asking this to be crafted super quick is not difficult. So I'm going to count this as fully automated. You just have to request it, and I'll show it right here. So I had to set up a crafter, a pattern grid, and a crafting monitor, and you just attach them all. This one's attached using a cable, because it just looked nicer this way. It's all balanced. So, but you just need those 3 things, and the pattern grid is what you use to make it, and you have to have the processing part collected to do the pattern if you're going to have it pointed at, like, the hopper. And then if you're just going to have it not in the hopper and have it in the actual crafter, you just need to have this part. And then you'll put in a recipe here, tell it what it's supposed to output here. They don't have to match, obviously, but you can do that. And what it does is when you go into the system, you can probably just, like, scroll down. Like here it says I don't have any transistors or any capacitors in the system, so do I want to craft any? And I don't know how I don't have any, because I don't remember using them. That's fine. So all you gotta do is, I'll actually do that now. You just find what you're wanting, click on it, and it'll ask you how many you want to make. I'm gonna make, I think I need 2 if I want to do this once. And then you hit start, and it'll say that you have all of that stuff available, and then you hit start. And then if you look in your crafting monitor, it says that it's currently processing. And right now there's no issues. If there's any issues, it would pop up with a little red circle thing and with an exclamation point and tell you that it doesn't work, which is what I ran into earlier. But now we're just waiting for this. So this is actually going into the thing. What's the thing? Pressure chamber to be all be crafted. So it should, as soon as it gets back into the system, disappear as a item. So transistor 2. So now it's not in the crafting monitor because we have 2 in here. So now I'm going to ask it to make 2 capacitors. And then I want to make I do believe I have some in here already. This is a large process anyway, but I'm going to ask it to make some unassembled, or to make some empty PCBs. Empty. Wait. Oh yeah, I have it doing the unassembled, because this is how don't judge me. I'm going to have it make 1 of these, and then it says it has the items that it needs, and then hit start. So, and I'm just going to hold these on. So, yeah, the one just finished, and now this one was going, and I can actually teleport over there to show you guys. So we hit start, it's crafting, and you can already see in the pressure chamber that things are being input into here. Come on, plastic, you can do it. Come on. You can do it. There you go. So it'll go in there, it will do the sound. There you go. And then it'll quickly go over here so it doesn't even bother to look at it. And there it is. There's the 3 empty PCBs, and so now this will function, because it has enough pressure in it, and I do have a speed upgrade in there. I could actually probably move 1 over. So that will go a little bit faster. And then once that's done, it'll pop over into our system. Now, I believe I have it set to say all 3 should go into the system, so the crafting grid might tell me that it's not done until all 3 are over there, but this will be moved into the chest, and then we should see it disappear. Did it put it in there? Did it put it in there? There it is, and then it's gone. Yay! And then it's just going to keep making all of them, and I might be able to turn this off. I don't think I want to. I have safety upgrades in all of them, so they won't explode, thank God. So, and then that'll make 1, and that's your unassembled PCB right there, and yep, this will say that it will not finish until it's got all 3 of them in there, because it makes 3. So, yay! So that's the way I've done it. And then from there, to make the printed circuit board, you could just either craft it by hand, or I do have a crafting recipe in here, so if I take the one I have out, it'll ask to craft it, and then I can click start, and then there it is. Because we have the items for it. So now, like I said, there is possibly a way to do that last step without having to do it by hand, but I do think that the rest of it all together, because like the transistor and the capacitor together only took like, what, a minute, if even that, a couple seconds. So I'm going to count this as automated. I'm going to check this off of the quest book in our tech chapter, and that's actually going to complete our chapter. I am just so proud of that little setup, so I hope you guys followed with it. I know there's a lot of pipes behind the walls and stuff, so that's a little confusing. Let me yeah, so you have the pipes hooking it up. There's a lot of item pipes, a lot of places, a lot of the cables going around. Basically, just all of the refined storage cables are connected behind the walls. And then this pressure tube only connects from this to the pressure chamber. And then the item pipe that's connected to this, actually you can kind of see it going right there. It's just going under the ground over here and then to over here. And like I said, a lot of it is just setting whitelists and stuff. Also, I'm just gonna be honest, I don't know which upgrade gives the whitelist for this, so I always just went for the ultimate because I can craft it anyway. So if you could do cheaper, maybe that'd be recommended, but if you can afford it, why not? Because actually the plain item pipes, you need the upgrade. The plain ones won't give you any of these options. So you kind of need the upgrade. And they're not hard for me, because I have netherite. But if they're hard for you, that's okay. But the basic one definitely does not. It's probably the advanced, I would imagine, because 1, 2, 3. But we'll see. So hopefully that was okay enough to follow. I do think, since that's done crafting, I'm going to turn this off, because there's no reason to have it on. Why is this negative 41 degrees? You're working hard down there. Stop. Oh yeah, and then turn these to high redstone signal so you can turn it off, so that way you're not wasting energy if you are conserving energy in any way. So yay! PCBs. So my dog is losing his mind. I'm sorry. He's been doing that a lot. Unassembled PCBs. So we got all that. I can actually put this back. I've been mining a little bit. Ting. Now, we have completed that chapter, so now what? Well, first of all, I'm going to claim this stuff. Oh, that gave me 64 upgrades. Why didn't I say that? Request or keeps the filtered item fluid in stock with the desired amount. Interesting. I will read these real quick. Pattern grid lets you encode patterns to teach crafters how to make stuff. Cool. Crafter. If facing air, it will craft stuff like a crafting table, which is how I have this one that's facing air. If it's facing an inventory or a machine and has processing pattern, it will insert items into it, such as like the hopper that I have over there. So it can be upgraded to higher tiers to store more patterns and craft faster, which is what the rest of this chapter is going to be like. Plus a fluid grid. I don't know why I never made that, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm also going to just slap these in there. Okay. Let's just make a fluid grid. Let's do some of these extra chapters real quick, or quests real quick, because they're not bad. Well, if I made more quartz, that would help. There we go. Machine casing. Destruction core. Construction core. So that should make us a grid. There we go. Apparently, I've never opened my inventory with a grid in it. I've made a grid before, I don't know why. And then smelt this real quick, and that will do our fluid grid, just to get that quest out of the way. Now, with the crafters, if we look at those, they do get a little... Well, that one's not hard. I haven't looked at these recipes, to be perfectly honest. What's a neural processor? That doesn't seem bad. That doesn't seem bad at all. Hang on, let's finish this fluid grid. Get that out of the way. Yay! What did that get me? Regulator upgrade. What does that do? I don't know what that does. What does that do? I don't know. I'm putting it away. I don't normally store fluids, though it probably would be a smart thing to do at some point, but I don't normally do that. But I want to make an iron crafter, because I don't know why that suddenly seems easy. Iron crafter. Well, yeah. I need a chest, apparently. And I guess I'll make another crafter. Can I have a crafter? Oops. Oh, I need all of these items. Okay. Crafter. Oops. I need 2 of the advanced, 2 construction core. And then I know deconstruction core. Nope. Let me just look up crafter. Crafter. Oh, it's nether quartz. I don't know why I forget that. I see the red and then I'm just like, yeah, that's right. It's not, but it's right. Okay, so we'll make this iron crafter and then I think we'll leave the episode off there and I'll probably do the rest of the crafters off camera, question mark? I don't know what a neural processor is. It doesn't seem hard. I gotta make sure I got the items for it. Da-da-da. Crafter. Crafter, and then an iron crafter. Yay! Ah! That's a challenge? Why was that a challenge? Why? From where? Okay, that scared me. Oh, and that gave me a basic processor. Ooh, 23. Cool. I'll put that away for now. But that'll give you more slots, because obviously this crafter only holds, I think this is 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 9. So, this will hold more. I think that said that'll hold... How much do you hold? 27, and then... This one will hold 45. Yeah, it quickly goes up, so... We'll go from there, and then there is a quest in here to never craft manually again, and I think we'll be able to manage that one just fine. And there is the creative wireless transmitter. We need to do an end... Did I ever bring home an elytra? No. We need to do an end trip. But anyway, we're at the end of this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any tips, tricks, or anything like that, please put it down in the comments below. I always greatly appreciate it. And I think in between episodes, like I said, I'll just work a little bit more on these crafters. Maybe I won't craft them off camera, but I'll definitely get the materials for them. And then I think from there, we have a couple options. We can either go back to basic automation and try to work on these last 2 quests we have, which is chocolate and nether stars for days. Or we can go ahead and start looking at the magic one, because we've done Botania, except for the one quest, but we haven't touched blood magic like at all since the very beginning. We have an altar set up, but I haven't used it outside of like some simple crafting, so we have some options. And then of course we have this huge food challenge to do. And then, of course, you know, the normal challenges. So, I will figure it out after I finish up working on what I've got with the storage stuff. So, yeah. I will see y'all in the next one. Bye-bye!